Hey there, it's Mavvery. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your art fun and expressive. This is real art of mine when I was 12 and didn't understand how to really do faces, but I think that I kind of understand how to do it now, so here's my best advice. I sketched out some bases before I started recording, and now we're going to sort of draw on top of them in order to create our expressions. Starting off, I wanted to do a simple, happy face that I think that a lot of people draw their OCs with when they're first getting started, and they want a sort of neutral resting position for their character's expression without them looking kind of robotic and dead inside. And I'm not going to be doing a very realistic style with this, but it also is going to include things like facial wrinkles, which I know that a lot of people don't like to put in their art because they don't want their characters to be ugly, but there is a way to do wrinkles in faces, like smile lines and lines on the corner of the mouth, where it doesn't make your character look ugly. It's important to remember that wrinkles aren't an inherently ugly thing, and they're on everybody, even people who are 10 years old when they smile. And I think that's a really important thing that I want us to remember as we go through this. As you can see, I like to put little lines on the outside of the nose and little tiny dots or wrinkles on the inside of the eyebrows just to kind of indicate that they are on the face and that they're moving the skin around them. I also like to put lines on the corner of the mouth and a little line below to sort of indicate the lip. And these are all lines that I feel like people can be kind of scared of using. I know I was scared of using these when I was first starting out drawing, and it takes a little bit getting used to it, and it takes a little bit to really understand how these are placed and how to place them in a way where it doesn't make your character look really old. And that's not a bad thing. I know that some people have characters who are a little older, but yeah, there's our generic base, just our default expression that we're going to modify and change. All changes I will have modified will be in this bright red color, so it's very obvious what I'm shifting. So I just copy and pasted it over, might as well, to save a little bit of time. And I wanted to start first off with the eyebrows, because the eyebrows are a very huge defining thing on our faces. And I specifically wanted to arch them upwards because a lot of people smile or get happy when they're pleasantly surprised. And I think that's a very common way for characters to show happiness. And the bottom of the eye is actually going to go up a little bit, and we're going to see that top round up as the eyebrows carry the eyelid with it. And we're going to kind of extend their smile a little bit, and here's where the exaggeration comes in, because obviously your mouth cannot realistically look like that, but I like to put these pretty intense smile lines on the side because that's what happens in real life, actually. And I also wanted to quickly put what I did in red and black, just so you can see kind of what it would look like without the red. I put it back, don't worry, but like I said, don't be afraid to use smile lines. And I like to put lines, like little thinner lines, on the top of the eyes of an eyelid. Of course, if your character has a monolid, it's going to be a little different. But for a character who does not have a monolid, I like to put these little lines just to indicate kind of where the eyebrows are taking the eyelid, because your eyebrows are attached to that skin. So now we're going to move on to our most pushed expression. So it's kind of happy, happiest, well, happy, happier, and happiest. And so, again, I wanted to push those eyebrows a lot more. This is not a guide to realism, obviously. This is a guide to how to exaggerate your expressions. And there's nothing wrong with the default expressions that I'm going to make in these. There's a time and place for all of these expressions. There's a time and place for subtlety. This is mostly if you are wanting to really get that super exaggerated expression. So actually, we're going to push those bottom lids up even further, and we're almost going to curve them in kind of a bow shape. And I just wanted to sort of define the eye a little bit more. Sometimes our pupils dilate, and there's the crow's feet that are on the side of their eye. And that is very prominently caused in smiles. You smile and your eyes wrinkle up, and your eyebrows go up, and it can actually change the little lids. And so I wanted this character to look really happy, and so you cannot be afraid of adding wrinkles like those lines on the side. And I wanted to open their mouth even wider. You'll see in the second one I did open their mouth a little bit, but this one I want them to be full on opening their mouth. And it does look a little creepy, but I do think that hopefully is a little in part of the coloring, but you will get the gist of how to sort of exaggerate. So now we're going to move on to the angry expression. And so the angry expression is obviously going to be a little different, and I do copy and paste the default face over again. I just want to save a little bit of time, and obviously I don't want it to look completely different, so if I redrew it totally every time, then there'd be things changing other than the expression, and we just want the expression to change. So what we're gonna do is, it's relatively simple what people do usually to indicate anger. They move the eyebrows down a little bit. I like to add a little line as if they're furrowing their eyebrows, and a little kind of angry face. This expression is really cute, and it definitely does have a time and place, but if they are really mad and they just found out that their partner was cheating on them or something, we obviously want their expression to be a little more upset. So we're going to pitch their eyebrows down further, and you see I'm also erasing the bottom lid. That's because the bottom lid actually does also change. Just like it changes when they get happy, it's also going to change when they get really mad. And you'll see this shape that I'm using, it kind of looks like a Nike swoosh to me a little bit, but I really like using this shape because it's super fluid and it's super expressive. And I add these pretty intense furrowing lines in between the eyebrows, and you can't go overboard because then it'll look like your character has a monolid, which if they do, then that's great, but I think most characters don't have monolids, and so don't go overboard. We're gonna open their mouth a little bit as if they're almost sneering, and we add those corner lines for more dramatic effect as if they are grimacing. And I want to point out that characters are often experiencing conflicting emotions at the same time. So for instance, in the example of this person catching their spouse cheating on them, it definitely is not going to be just anger they feel. They're also going to feel sadness, and they might feel disgust or betrayal, and there's going to be a lot of different emotions, and it's going to kind of show on their face. So I did pitch their eyebrows down a little bit more to make them look more mad, but obviously you can kind of change this. So for the final one, I wanted this to be obviously the most angry, so the eyebrows are actually going to cut into the top lid, and I'm going to add these almost eye bags underneath just to add more depth and wrinkles. And you can see the eyebrows are pitched so far down that it's almost going over the lash. And I wanted to add tears, and I wrinkled up the nose. You can see I erased it and I brought it up a little bit, and I added some lines as if it's wrinkling in disgust. I added tears, and I wanted their mouth to be wide open as if they're yelling or just kind of in shock. And so I wanted them to really look truly angry, and the way to do this is to add wrinkles. And I know a lot of people don't want to add wrinkles, but it's really the best way. You can even add crow's feet, because crow's feet will happen even if they're squinting or they're smiling or they're enraged or making some big expression with their mouth like a smile, or in this case an enraged sort of yell. I zoom out just to make sure it's looking okay, and I didn't quite like how it was going, so I wanted to change up the eyes a little bit, make the pupils smaller, which I think is a pretty good detail, because I feel like in cartoons a lot, people will make the pupils smaller in order to, I don't know, increase an emotion, because pupils dilate in real life. I'm not quite sure like the basis of it, but I also make the mouth bigger, and there we go. That's our finished character sheet. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned something today. Please consider leaving a like and a subscribe, and I will see you next time.